Hey, it's Charmaine. Are you thinking about starting a new garden this year? Or expanding your garden? Or maybe you're like me and you want to take your existing garden and restructure it so it works a little bit better for you. If so, here are my top 5 considerations for doing so. Let's get started. Number 1 is space. How much space do you have to devote to this project? Also, where's it located? How much sun does it get or shade? Also, what's the soil like in that area? Are you going to need to amend it? Those are all things that you need to consider. Also, go ahead and do some measurements and write this down because you're going to need all of this information for the next consideration. Next up is, what should you grow? Would you like to start a cut flower garden? Or maybe you want to add some structure to a space by adding some shrubs or some trees. Maybe you want to offset your grocery bill by growing some fruits or some vegetables. Or maybe it's a combination of all of those things. You need to know where your space is and how much sun it gets so that you can go online and do some research into the best varieties for what you want to grow. Now that you know where you're going to grow and what you're going to grow, number 3 is, what are you going to grow it in? Are you doing in-ground beds? Are you going to do raised beds or containers? Do you need to buy more soil? If you look online, there's plenty of calculators on there for your size of container and space that'll help you decide how much you need to buy in either bags or bulk. Here's a tip. If you are going to buy in bulk, consider going to the place so you can lay eyes on the specific soil that you're going to be getting. Trust me, I've been burned by this in the past. Also, as a part of this step, go ahead and take out the drawing or the measurements for your space and draw it out. Once you have it drawn out, then you can decide where you're going to put your raised beds or your trees or your containers in that specific space so that it flows and works for you. Number 4 is whether to go with seeds or transplants. Transplants are typically easier, however, they are usually more expensive. If you're going to do seeds, there are so many varieties that you can choose from that ordinarily aren't available to you in transplants or fully grown plants. However, they do require some space indoors typically. You could do a combination of both, which is what I would normally do. I have limited indoor space for starting seeds, so I'll start the ones that I want to, those harder to find varieties, indoors. The rest, I'll try to find either online or at the garden center. Number 5 involves an ounce of prevention as you consider what all could come along and harm your plants, either eat them or disrupt their growth cycle. So consider flowers, for instance. Flowers, you typically want the pollinators to come along and do their thing, so you may not want to cover those or spray them. In that option, you can either live with it, you could spray them off with a nozzle, or you can hand pick those insects off if they're big enough. If you're growing something that you're going to be eating, however, that maybe doesn't need a pollinator, say cabbage or kale, consider covering those with an insect cover. You can also try some organic sprays like insecticidal soap or neem oil. There's so many options around. Just take a look online or go to your garden center and look around. I'm sure you'll find the best option for you. Speaking of options, if you'd like some more information and some further options to consider checking out my blog. I'll have it linked below. For instance, say you're growing some pumpkins or squash, consider hand pollinating. That way you can still cover it with insect cloth or even tulle, which is a cheaper alternative. Here's a bonus tip. Consider the paths and the walkways in this new space. If you use a wheelbarrow ordinarily, can you fit the wheelbarrow in the space? Is it practical for you to plan for space for a wheelbarrow? Also, can you walk in the space easily? Consider the full-grown size of the plants that you're going to grow when you're considering where to put things. Trust me, carrying heavy bags of soil from one place to another is no fun if you could avoid it. Hey, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And thank you so much for watching. Be blessed.